Welcome to the Life After Life podcast, where we explore our soul's physical and non-physical journey. I'm Majona. Let's discuss angels, guides, and loved ones from the other side. Hi, and welcome to our very first episode. So glad you found us. So before we launch into it, let me give you just a really quick overview of me, and we'll get into all of that a little more in depth. So basically, I am doing this podcast because I've just had this urge, kind of a nudging, for quite a long time, and I've ignored it. And then there were just several synchronicities, and I said, okay, got it. So here we are. My journey with this began about the age of 3 years old. Was the very first conversation that I remember having with the spirit. And then it just became a daily part of life. And I did not know everybody doesn't have those experiences until much later on. We'll get into all of those details as the podcast unfolds. I'll share my experiences with you, my stories with you, and even things that I've been told from loved ones that have crossed over about what's life like over there. And then some things that I've pieced together from a variety of sources. And before we go any further with this, there's someone else I would like to introduce you to. Thomas Miller is, well, I guess there are many titles. Let's see, life partner, business partner, producer, best friend. I think you're getting the picture here. So, Thomas.
Hello.
Hello.
Just back here watching. Very proud of you. Doing great.
Well, thank you. And I will tell y'all that Thomas comes from quite a background of radio and TV, so he is definitely the professional here. He has, well, I'll let you tell him about your podcast.
Almost the same thing as what you're talking about. In 2013, my mom had just died. It was this time of year that we're doing this. It was right at Easter.
Right.
It was Easter weekend.
Yeah. And
I had this prompt to do a podcast. And like you said, I had a significant background in radio, television production. And I had always kind of dragged this little radio or audio production equipment around with me. And I knew that part, right? I knew how to get a show. I just didn't know how to get it on iTunes. So I got on the internet, figured that out, and started the Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast about 3 months after my mom passed away in 2013. So you're talking about that, you know, that connection with the other side. I don't know if she might have been part of that prompt or not. Could have been, but it's been going all this time, and we have almost 200 episodes.
Excellent. So we will refer to that periodically. There is a website associated with that.
Subconsciousmindmastery.com.
And Thomas just started another podcast that is just way too much fun on astrology.
We're going to have fun with that. So one of the things that in my upbringing that was not kosher was astrology. Once I made my change, which the whole Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast is really about that, I started to look at it just because I was open to looking at anything.
He was a recovering Baptist.
I was trying to find a new way. Well, astrology has just been fun. But one of the things that I've noticed is that when you mention astrology, everybody's eyes just gloss over. Blah. You know, it's like they don't know what the little figures mean, and they don't know what all that stuff is, and the wheel is complicated. But they know they're a Virgo, or they know they're a Leo, but they just don't know how the rest of it screws together. So I decided to start the Fun Astrology podcast and make it light and fun and relevant just for that day.
And it is fun.
So I'm doing them 6 days a week. Now, tomorrow, we're going to start playing with doing a video version of it on YouTube. And that's going to be even more fun. So we'll tell you more as it unfolds.
So we have a lot going on and are very, very excited to share with you, and very excited that you've joined us. So in trying to decide what to do to launch our episodes today, you know, sometimes I forget that I think I'm in charge, and I'm not. So I had ideas, and then I was really guided to discuss soul contracts. So that's where we'll start.
Perfect.
an overview, right, of soul contracts and souls. I always think of we are like dolphins and whales. We travel in pods. So we have a soul pod, which is probably the members of your family, maybe close friends that you really do go through various lifetimes with in one way or the other. We'll talk about spirit guides and angels and twin flames or soulmates, whatever term you like to use. So your soul or a pod, somebody in your pod may not reincarnate with you. They might stay up there and kind of oversee and serve as a spirit guide. But when you're coming into this lifetime, you kind of make an agreement with those people you're going to be close with and decide what your relationship will be and what lessons you will support each other in learning. This is so relevant, I think, to the very first podcast because so many people, when we lose someone we love, it's so hard. And we're grieving and we miss them. And what we want to know is, will I see them again? Can they hear me? Can I talk to them? Is it too soon to try to reach out to them? And the answer is yes, yes, yes. You will see them. They haven't really left. You are still very, very connected. They've just continued their journey elsewhere, and you will join them for probably many lives still. So that's all very good and exciting. The other thing is a lot of people wonder, especially if there was an argument or time had passed since you saw that loved one before they made a transition, and it's like, oh my gosh, what if they didn't forgive me? What if, it's the what ifs. And why are what ifs always bad? Why don't we do positive what ifs? But what if they're sad and angry or they can't forgive me and now I don't have a chance? They did. They have a way bigger, beautiful picture of this than you do. And they had their soul contract with you. So if you were sideways with each other, most likely it wasn't the first time and you were helping each other through lessons there. So one of my favorite books that deals with this is Little Soul and the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. And if you're familiar or if you've seen this, you're thinking, wait, isn't that a kid's book? And it has beautiful illustrations and it kind of looks like it's a children's book. And oh my gosh, what lessons are in this. But my most favorite part of this book is when the little soul is up and talking with spirit about he's about to incarnate and trying to decide what lesson he wants to learn and decides to learn about forgiveness. And they then through the conversation realizes, oh, wait, for me to learn how to forgive, that means somebody has to do something really, really awful to me so that I have to forgive them. How is that even possible? Because we're all so full of light and love and high vibration. And this other little soul comes up and says, hey, I'll do it for you. So they have conversation around it. And basically, the whole reason that this soul was willing to do that is because I love you that much. I'm willing to forget who I am and all my brilliance and become someone you have to forgive because I love you that much. Wow.
That is a wow.
Oh my gosh. I have read that book so many times for years and years, and I still kind of get chills when I think about that. And it took, I don't know how many times for me to read it and not just kind of, shed some tears along the way.
Which for a very earthy, non-emotional Capricorn is quite an accomplishment. Mr. Walsh, you did good.
Well, we all have, okay, face it, mommy issues, right? I'm just waiting to find out what mommy issues my kids have.
Oh,
That'll be fun.
I know. Believe me, they'll tell you.
Yeah. So that is just a great resource. I think it's beautifully written, beautifully illustrated, and there's some just beautiful nuggets in there that kind of gives an overview, I think, of the essence of soul contracts. So you do have a contract with everybody in your family and maybe even close friends. Sometimes those contracts push you to your limits by design, and you were in on the design. So I am very mindful of the time. I know everybody's busy, so my intention is to keep these pretty short, and I always like to end with a story that is part of my experience that ties into whatever the topic was. So we will actually hold off on that story, and we'll cover that on the next episode. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Namaste.